Hey guys, what's up? It's GVKcollectibles, and today we're taking a look at the Jurassic World Amber Collection from Mattel, and today we're going to be taking a look at Ian Malcolm 2.0. As I said, today we'll be taking a look at Ian Malcolm, the 2.0 version from the Amber Collection. Now, this is the second release of Ian Malcolm. Originally, Ian Malcolm was actually along with the big one, aka the Jurassic Park Velociraptor. He and her were two of the first additions into the Amber Collection, and this line continues to be really great, really solid. I think I like the Velociraptors. I apparently have all the Velociraptors, but I do love the human characters just because it's like it's so cool to think back in the day of when I actually got the Lost World version of Ian, like the Kenner toy, to think I would be getting a really accurate looking one from Jurassic Park. It's like out of my, it just blows my mind. So with all the Amber Collection packaging, it is this cool looking open window packaging. I really like it. You got the medallion at the top that with the Ember color, and you also got like the figure itself coming with a lot more accessories than the original. We'll actually do a side-by-side comparison between these two. There is a little bit of difference between each of them, but either way, you got Ian Malcolm right here at the bottom, of course. Then you get the side and the Jurassic Park logo. So actually a cool thing that I know is I actually have the Pterodon, which you will see eventually in you'll see a review of that guy eventually. But one thing I did notice is each film, and I don't think I even pointed this out with the Lost World Velociraptor, you will actually, whatever movie the character is from, it will have the logo from that particular movie. Then you get the Ian Malcolm, and you do get a read-up, of course, of Ian Malcolm. I'll pause for a quick view of it. Then you get a cool production shot of him lowering the T-Rex away, which was actually completely improvised by him, because Ian Malcolm, by Jeff Goldblum, Ian Malcolm was actually originally supposed to run away, but he was like, he was talking to Steven Spielberg. It's like, hey, can I actually do something like of where I lure the T-Rex away? And then we got that scene, which is really cool. Then you get the Ember right here, then some more cracks of the Ember, credits at the bottom, and with that out of the way, let's get Ian Malcolm out of the packaging. Here we have Ian Malcolm 2.0 out of the packaging, and I gotta say, first impressions, I feel like this is a very similar figure to the first one. We will do a greater comparison between the both of them, of course, later in the video, but overall, I think with the exception of the new double jointed elbows, which I really love, because every other subsequent figure, Owen, I think even Ray Arnold does have them too, has the double jointed elbows, so it is really cool. I feel like the paint apps are maybe a little bit better on this guy. Once again, we will get into some comparisons, but overall, I really like this. I like the first version of the character. There were a few minor complaints I had with that first version, but it seems like they are going to be kind of realized and talked about in this one. Also, biggest note, for this Ian Malcolm, he does come with a lot more accessories than the original. The original only came with the glass, and I think the flare as well, and a few interchangeable hands, but this one comes with one extra little thing. So, yeah, let's get into, and also there, one thing I did actually think I noticed is his chest, but we'll get into the comparisons between the older figure and this new figure. So, with that out of the way, let's get into some of the accessories, because he does come with some accessories, some that are practically the same as the original, and some new ones along the way. Alright, and as I said, guys, Ian Malcolm does come with a few accessories, and so we're going to be doing a little something different. I've never really done this before, just because of comparing two different figures, because this is essentially the new Ian Malcolm is the 2.0 of the original, so we will actually do a comparison to each accessory with each figure, see how they compare to each other and the differences. And I've actually, like, having the actual character, like some of the accessories in hand, there are a big majority of differences. So first one, so the new one doesn't come with the Ember Base very much like the original, which I'm kind of glad they didn't, because out of, I feel like, all the Jurassic Park people, if anybody in the comments will want to say down below, I never really used the base for either the Owen or the Ian Malcolm. I mean, it's cool that they included it, but I just thought it was just kind of not pointless, because the figure could stand on its own perfectly fine. I can get why they did it, just because the dinosaurs also have, like the Velociraptor and Dilophosaurus and the Pterodon, of course, all have that base, so that makes sense, but at the same time, I'm like, we don't really need it. First accessory I want to compare to is the original. So here is the new one, which looks really, really cool. Once again, I will say with both effects, like the actual effect piece of the flare is really well done and really well sculpted from Mattel. I gotta say, I really enjoy the look of the flare. It looks really, really cool. So here is the original right here, and here is the new one. As you can definitely tell, there is a much darker red on this, on the new one, which I actually kind of like a little bit more than the lighter, because this lighter one has kind of a pink color to it, which, I mean, comparing them both, yeah, they do have the pink hue, but once again, both of them are really greatly sculpted. I feel like this is the same mold, it's just really painted differently, and I think the paint job on the new one is a lot better, in my opinion. I think it looks a lot better, a lot darker, like a kind of darker looking red instead of this kind of pink look, which I even think the Legacy Collection little 3.75 figure actually has this kind of pink hue to it too. And you also notice there is some scruffed up marks, and I think that's just due to the figure on my being on my shelf. So yeah, so that's the first accessory. I do have to say. So the next one is kind of minute. It is the glass of water. Nothing too crazy about this one. I do say it's well sculpted. It's really cool how they get the effect of the water from the T-Rex scene, which looks really, really good. As far as I can tell, there really isn't a big difference with either of these. I think they look nearly identical to each other. Yeah, they're pretty much identical, so either way, I mean, it's a good mold piece, so, you know, nothing really too much to say about that anymore. So we do have a few, mainly sculpted hands right here, which look really good, like the left and the right. Pretty good. This is the original. These are the new hands, which, just comparing them, they look identical to each other. So nothing really too different about that, I think. You got the grab, like the kind of grab, holding the glass hand for the chaos effect. Actually, no, this one's the grab hand, which looks, they look good in comparison to, so let's do comparison to these. Yeah, actually kind of do see a little bit of a difference, because I think this one is actually kind of a lighter color, and this one's a little bit of a darker color, which is very interesting. Paint apps on the finger, like the ring itself, are practically identical to each other, so yeah, nothing too big difference with that. And same thing with the graphic hands. And with the last accessory is the Walkie-Talkie, the one where he's guiding Elliot Sadler through the bunker to get the park back online, to basically reboot it. So it looks really, really good. It looks very much like the one we see in the film. Really, you got a lot of green paint, red, really, really well, and this kind of I want to say tan kind of color, so it looks really, really good. So yeah, those are all the accessories, and I also compared them to the old ones. I will say a majority of the ones, there really isn't too many difference with the hands and the cup, but you notice a huge difference with the actual flare, which I think is a really, really cool thing. I actually prefer the new flare to the old one, and also you get the addition of the new radio, which is really, really nice. So yeah, those are all the accessories. So let's jump into Dr. Malcolm's details, and we'll do a comparison between both of the original figure and the new figure. And here we have two Dr. Ian Malcolms, of course. So this first one on the, technically the left, or the, yeah, technically the left, on this side right here, this is the OG figure, this is the brand new figure. So there is a few details that I want to go over, because there, I think, are a little bit more different details. I feel like the skin tone is practically nearly identical to each other, which is really interesting, but you get the same kind of black uniform. This one actually looks like it's a bit of a lighter, not glossier kind of color, while this one, the black is a lot more, I feel like, a glossy kind of color look right here. Also, the biggest noticeable difference, you kind of see it there, he does have some chest hair, which is really, really funny to me, but like practically looking at these figures side by side, they are nearly identical to each other. I can't really see too many major details, different details with them. As you do know, like, you could definitely tell, like, the head sculpts are the exact same. A lot of the figures definitely the same. With the addition, with the new one, has the double jointed elbows, just mainly because I think for me that was a selling point. Also a little bit more of the more accessories, but yeah. I do definitely notice that the original is a lot more, has kind of a gloss kind of look to it. Like it's a lot more glossy comparative to this one. They both shine, but I feel like this one is like extra shiny. So that is really, really cool that they were able to like kind of dial down the paint. And I think actually this Ian Malcolm has a dark, like looking at it now, he actually has a darker skin tone in comparison to this original figure. So that's actually really, really cool that they improved that. But basically, belt buckle's practically identical, as you're about to expect. The other biggest difference, I think, with the figures themselves are the boots themselves. So the new figure actually has like dirt on the boots, which I actually think is a really, really good detail, and the older one doesn't have that detail. So I think that's actually a cool detail that they included. I actually prefer the kind of, because he was like walking around checking out the Triceratops. He was looking at the big pile of poop, and he said that's one big pile of shit. So yeah, that definitely makes sense. Like he is a lot more dirty looking, and I'm really glad that they kind of included that. Like they actually did that paint change. It was one of the first things I actually noticed about the figure, which is really, really cool. But overall, there really isn't too much difference with these. I would think the articulation is kind of practically the same, with the exception of the double jointed elbows too, which I'll do an articulation real quick for the new one, but there is really kind of no, as far as I could tell, with those differences that I picked out, the color, the black is a lot less glossy on this one, and it's a lot more kind of toned down. It's still relatively glossy at points, mainly just because of the camera light, but it does look like it is kind of a lot, like it's toned down in comparison to this one, which is really, really cool. So yeah, those are some of just the details. Nothing really too major or crazy. There are a few minor changes to the sculpt, like the painting and everything, which I appreciate that they did that. I appreciate the chest hair, because this one he looks like a baby, no chest hair, and we all know, especially in the scene like of when he's laying down in the visitor center, he does have a lot of chest hair, so it is kind of cool to see. Well, it's kind of cool that they included that detail. So yeah, we'll jump into the Malcolm's articulation next, of course. Then we'll get into some size comparisons, see what he scales with, and overall thoughts on this figure. Alright, and Ian Malcolm can look up quite a bit. His head is on a ball joint, so you can kind of rotate it around and everything. He can kind of look up. He can look down a little bit, not too much, but that's okay. He can look up about enough where you can get him to look like if he's looking at a T-Rex, which is really, really cool. His arms do move out. There is actually a swivel right here, a bicep swivel, which is really, really cool. And he also comes with the double jointed elbows, which is a really, really great feature. His hand is on a wrist. The wrist is on a kind of ball joint, but you can rotate it around, and it's also on a hinge too, so you can move it up and down, which is really good. He does have an ab crunch right here. You can move back quite a bit, and you can move it up front, so you can actually get him in that pose of where he's like looking at a T-Rex, which is really, really cool. So if you do have because the Super Colossus T-Rex, I actually believe, fits into scale with these. So if you do have like a custom one, I know a lot of people, I think, are waiting for a big ass articulated T-Rex. I think that would be really, really cool and be very interesting to see. But you also like, you can kind of move the waist around. It's on like a ball joint, not a ball joint, but like on a swivel, so you can like move it around all the way. He can kick that forward. He can't really kick back just due to the back of the articulation, which is okay. He does come with the double jointed knees. He does have a thigh swivel, which is really, really cool. His boots are kind of up and down. Not really any kind of, there's barely a kind of hip articulation, as I do think the bottom of these are ball joints, as opposed to like the hinge of like the Black Series figures, which it could be a little disappointing for some, but it's not really a big deal breaker because the figure can stand pretty well on his own. So yeah, that's some of the articulation with Ian Malcolm. So with that out of the way, it's practically nearly identical to the original, with the exception of the double jointed elbows and even the swivel right here, because I don't even think the original does have that. I will correct that in a minute if it does. But yeah, that's the articulation for Ian Malcolm. Pretty good for the Mattel human figures, I think. I think they've done a really, really great job with these, like the articulation with these figures. So with that out of the way, let's jump into some size comparisons and see what he scales with. Here's Ian compared to some other human figures from different companies. Of course, we have the new Ellen Ripley in the spacesuit from the Alien 40th Anniversary away from NECA. We have the Bat Batman, designed by Todd McFarlane from McFarlane Toys. Of course, we have the Black Series, Return of the Jedi Boba Fett, and we have the Wicked Cool Toys Jerome 092 from Halo Wars, the Spartan Collection. So yeah, he is, I think, definitively with these figures, they are 6-inch figures, I believe, or 7-inch roughly. But he is a little smaller in comparison to Boba Fett to be a 6-inch, so I think he's actually a 7-inch figure, even though he is pretty small in comparison to the Batman and the Ripley, because these are kind of considered the like ideal versions of a 7-inch figure for human figures, because they both come from like really big houses within the 7-inch market. And also the Jerome is pretty big too. I mean, this is marketed as a 6.5-inch figure, but he dwarfs the Ian Malcolm, so it's really interesting to see all these compared side by side. And here is, so this is going to be a cop out because you're going to exactly see this in the exact same video for both these guys, just because I just want to do a comparison of them both real quick. So we have the Ian Malcolm along with Ray Arnold, the Owen figure, and of course the OG Velociraptor, and of course the Tiger Stripe Velociraptor, which we reviewed on the channel a little bit ago. And it's really cool. These are practically my only human figures within the Amber collection as of right now, but it is really cool to see them all next side by side with each other. I think the collection is certainly getting better with their human figures. I'm super excited about the Elliott Sadler, the John Hammond. We're getting a Robert Muldoon eventually down the line, and I think an Alan Grant, and I think a few more, but I can't remember off the top of my head. So I'm very excited to see where this line continues to go. I hope it continues to go into Jurassic World Dominion, which I hope will get like a Dotson figure and a new Alan Grant, a new Elliott Sadler, and a new Ian Malcolm. So it is really, really cool to see all these characters side by side with each other. Here we have sexy Ian Malcolm, of course, just posed just because I figured I would do this, just because it is a little fun instead of doing the him in his normal pose. So overall thoughts on the 2.0 Ian Malcolm. I like it. I think it is practically a very identical figure with a few changes here and there. Like, the paint apps, I think, are a little bit better on this one in comparison to the suit. It's not as glossy as the old one. The boots, the painting on the boot details is really, really good. The articulation, practically the same with the exception of the double-jointed elbows, which is, you know, depending on if you want to get this figure, I mean, there are a few new, also another thing, the biceps will, of course, that's another added feature, too, that they did for this figure. Overall thoughts, I think if you want to get it, I definitely suggest getting it because I think it's a little bit better in terms of articulation, plus you're also getting more, getting an extra accessory. But if that's not worth it to you, just stick with your original. It all depends on what your personal preference is. I am actually trying to sell my original. It's actually on Mercari right now, I think, so if you guys are interested in that, links are always down below. So yeah, overall thoughts, I like the figure. I think the Jurassic World line, well, the Ember Collection line is doing really, really great. I enjoy the line very much. I think it's still continuously a really great line, that it is a cool, affordable line for collectors, and it's kind of the line that I've always wanted to see, like these movie accurate figures. Like when the Legacy line came out, I was blown away that we were actually getting kind of figures that actually looked like the characters from the movie, because as a kid, you just got these kind of ridiculous things, like you got like Elliott Sadler with a backpack and everything. So yeah, with that being said, that's Figure Review Friday. So if you guys enjoyed the video, I hope you hit like and hit subscribe so you can get notified when we upload new Mythical Mountain Mondays, What's in the Box Wednesdays, Figure Review Fridays. Also check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Links will all down below. And also check us out on Mercari. Links will be down below as well. So with that being said, I hope you guys have a great weekend. Hopefully it's safe, and peace.